Hello and welcome to a Firstpost PoV. The shadow war between Iran and Israel has moved out of the shadows and into the open. Both countries are firing projectiles, including ballistic missiles, at each other. And today was the fifth night of non-stop fighting between the two sides. The question is, what is Israel's end goal in this war, or this operation that they've launched? Is there an off-ramp for de-escalation? And what sort of role do we see the Americans, for example, playing going forward? To try and answer these questions, let me introduce my guest, Mr. Amichai Chikli, who's the Minister of Diaspora Affairs in Israel and a member of the Israeli Parliament as well. Thank you so much, Mr. Chikli, for speaking to us on Firstpost.
Thank you, Prathik.
Let's talk about the goals I mentioned first. There's a lot of confusion about what Israel's end goal in this operation is. Is it just to degrade the Iranian nuclear facilities and dismantle the nuclear program? Or is it to effect a regime change in Tehran and topple the revolutionary government? Which of these is the goal of this operation?
Okay, so first we need to understand that when we are speaking about the Iranian regime, this regime from its very beginning, starting with Khamenei, and later on with leaders such as Ahmadinejad and now Khamenei, they all declared in every conference, in every major event, that their goal is to eliminate the state of Israel. By the way, it's not just Israel. They were speaking also about America as the great Satan and Israel as the small Satan. And they are very, very clear regarding their intention, genocidal intentions towards Israel. Now, when it comes to the capabilities of this regime, there are two existential threats coming from this regime. One is obviously the nuclear plan that was developed first at Natanz and later on also in Isfahan, Bordeaux, and other sites. And the second existential threat is the massive amount of ballistic missiles. Just to remind you, on April 2024 and before, and later on October, we had two major attacks coming from the Iranian regime towards the state of Israel. Our response to these attacks from Iran were just to dismantle their air defense systems. So this is a defense war and not some aggressions coming from Israel. And what we're doing is trying to prevent this regime, first and foremost, from developing his nuclear program, one, and second, to develop his ballistic missiles plan. They were aiming to have 8,000 ballistic missiles, and for a tiny state like Israel, 8,000 ballistic missiles, that is an existential threat. We saw the damage. We have lost 22 innocent civilians from these missiles landing in the heart of cities from the north, Tamra, Arab village, to Haifa, Petah Tikva, Tel Aviv, Rishon LeZion, and other cities in Israel.
So are you saying that regime change is not a stated goal, but could be possibly a side effect of the operation that is going on?
Yeah. Oh, look, obviously we hope that this will happen, but this is not operational goal, because this goal can be achieved only by the people of Iran, by leaders of opposition in Iran, who will try, hopefully, to restore democracy in Iran and to restore the government to the people, because as for now, we know that this is one of the most cruel regime on the face of earth. We all recall Masha Amini, a young girl who refused to wear the burqa, and she was tortured and murdered. And we all know what's happening to people who are gays in Iran. They are hanging them in the middle of the streets. What is happening to opposition voices, journalists who disagree. This is a very vicious and bad regime, and I really hope that these moves will encourage the people to take action now when the leadership is broken, when the leadership is weak. Seize the moment and bring back the relationship that we used to have with the Iranian people. We had very close ties with Iran before the revolution.
Now, the Israeli military has said that Iran was too close to a bomb for comfort, and which is why they chose to act right now. But American intelligence, even as late as March, was saying that the Iranians had no intention of building a nuclear bomb. Are you saying that the American intelligence was faulty and that you had better intelligence about Iran's intentions? Is that why Israel chose to go ahead right now?
I'm not familiar with the American intelligence. What we know for sure from our intelligence that they were enriching uranium to the level of 60%, and they had the material to create several bombs. In order to do it, they needed to take the level from 60 to 90%. They can do it in Natanz, they can do it in Pardo. Now we've eliminated the capabilities in Natanz, and there's still the mission in Pardo. We all know that they were very advanced in their program to move forward, and this is a very solid intelligence. And this is the intelligence that I'm aware of. I don't know about the intelligence that you've mentioned.
Right. Now, in the last couple of days, we've seen waves of ballistic missile attacks from Iran thudding into Israel, some of them in residential areas. And surely questions must be asked to Iran about why they're doing this. But on the other side, too, yesterday night, we saw an Israeli attack on the Iranian state television building. According to international law, targeting journalists is completely illegal. So why, in the middle of an operation where you're targeting air defense systems and air bases and aircraft, why target the state television agency of Iran?
Yeah, so it is a rare target comparing to the other targets that we have seen. But our military sources said that there is military activity taking place in that building. This is one. Second, this is a major propaganda channel. And when we are speaking on encouraging the people to take actions in Iran, that can also serve the people in Iran to take actions against the regime. This is the main tool of the regime to spread its propaganda, to spread its fake news. But the reason why it was attacked is due to military activity from that specific building.
But if Iran were to respond with a strike, God forbid, on an Israeli media agency, would you condemn that, or would you be understanding of an Iranian justification like the one you just gave, Minister?
So Iranians are targeting the hearts of our cities, killing almost every night innocent civilians, dozens of innocent civilians. We do not target civilians. And the TV in Iran, it's not free TV. This is part of the Iranian Revolutionary Guards. This is part of their war machine. And as mentioned, we are aware of military activity that was taking out of this building, and that is why this building was targeted, not because of the TV, not because of the propaganda. It's not the case.
Let's talk about the Iranian nuclear program now. The US president has said that he would like to see the Iranians come to the table, give up enrichment, and strike a deal that Israel is also happy with. Would you be okay with such a deal that checks your conditions, or would you only be satisfied once this nuclear program is completely dismantled on the battlefield? What are you hoping to achieve here?
First, we're hoping to achieve a complete dismantling of this nuclear program. I don't believe in the, let's say, goodwill of this regime to come to the negotiation table. Their only goal is to buy time and to move forward with their plan to reach hegemony in the region. We're all aware of the very basic principle of the Iranian Revolutionary Guards of spreading the revolution, what's called in Persian, Sudud al-Inkilab. They've done it very successfully in Lebanon. Luckily, we've managed to dismantle Hezbollah from most of his capabilities and also his military leadership. They've done it in Yemen with the Houthis threatening Saudi, threatening the UAE. They have done it in Syria, participating in the massacre of innocent people in Syria, helping Bashar, a vicious regime, which also collapsed due to the success of Israel war in Lebanon. And therefore, when we are speaking about this regime, we need to take a look at the entire region, also to bear in mind their capabilities in Latin America. We all recall the terror attacks on the Amia building of the Jewish community, Israel embassy. We all recall their attacks on U.S. forces in Lebanon, kidnapping the embassy staff right at the start of the beginning of this regime. And going back to the messages coming from the president of the U.S., the latest messages that I saw was that he is not in the mood for negotiating, and he wants a complete surrender of Iran to the demands of the U.S. and Israel to dismantle their nuclear program.
When you talk about dismantling the Iranian nuclear program, are you saying the regime should not have a civilian nuclear program either, or are you just talking about a setup in which their weapons ambitions probably are within check? Do you not want a civilian program for Iran either?
We're not speaking about civilian program. As I mentioned, we already know that they are in a 60% level of uranium enrichment. Civil level is 4 or 5%. This is a totally different issue.
So just to be clear, you're okay with Iran having a civilian nuclear program?
I'm not saying that I'm okay. I'm just saying that there is a huge difference. The problem with this regime is that their intentions are very clear. So I'm very skeptical about if they will have a civilian plan. It's likely to develop into a military one. This is because of the nature of this regime, which is extremely hostile and seeking to have domination all across the Middle East. We need to listen to these leaders. When they are saying they want to annihilate the state of Israel, and they have a clock in the middle of Tehran with a countdown for the elimination of Israel, that's their philosophy, that's their mission. When they're saying death to America, they mean death to America. It's not. And by the way, India, as an ally of Western countries, as an ally, strategic ally of Israel, of Cyprus and Greece, and the US, obviously. This is also an issue that concerns the Indian people, because a powerful Iran, a powerful radical Islamist nation equipped with nuclear power, such as Pakistan, such as Iran, this is a major problem, and you know it very well.
You mentioned Pakistan there. We saw some interesting news coming out yesterday where an Iranian general on state television basically said that if Israel were to ever drop a nuclear weapon on Iran, that they would respond with a nuclear strike on Israel. Now, Pakistan went on to deny this claim, but for an Iranian general to say what he did, what did you make of that claim? Do you think there is a strategic threat for Israel from Pakistan at the moment?
No. So we were very happy that the Pakistani straightforward denied this report coming from the Iranians. But we know that the leaders of Al-Qaeda had a shelter in Pakistan. We saw the attack, the terror attack on Indian civilians, innocent civilians, that also caused the latest conflict between India and Pakistan. And so we also look at the situation from the lenses of the clash of civilization between Western civilizations that believes in freedom, the sacred of life, and radical Islamist ideology, which is do not believe in those values and believe in despotism, tyranny, and sees the glory of death as some high value in the chain of command of values. And therefore, we think that we have, let's say, a cultural, philosophical alliance with the Indian people and Western civilization. This is something which is also need to be taken under consideration.
Right. Now, a lot of Iranian supporters seem to be talking about a double standard here. They say Israel does not want us to have a nuclear program. They call it illegal. But Israel, according to the admissions of many former officials, does have a covert nuclear program. How would you react to those allegations of double standard against Israel?
Look, the state of Israel didn't start this war on October 7th. It has no ambition whatsoever to eliminate Iran. We never said we will have any intentions to eliminate Iran or any other Arab countries in the region. This genocidal philosophy, strategy, aiming to wipe out Israel off the map, that is the ideology of the Iranian regime. And this is why it is so dangerous that they will have a nuclear program. And the state of Israel, we have, according to foreign publications, some capabilities that we use only for self-defense, and we actually never use it, and we never use it even when we have had very difficult moments, such as the Yom Kippur War in 1973.
I understand that Israel does have a legitimate concern there, because you have a country much bigger than you saying that we want to wipe you off the map, and they want to build nuclear weapons. That is certainly a very worrying scenario for Israel. But I also wonder, we've heard Israeli ministers say, for instance, that we should drop a nuclear bomb in Gaza. So by using your logic, shouldn't Israel's nuclear weapons also be taken away?
That's a very stupid sentence to say.
Why is that?
And people are saying, including, we're all human beings. So also members of parliament and also ministers, sometimes they're saying stupid things. It's something that happened. Throwing a nuclear bomb on Gaza, okay? Gaza is right nearby Ashkelon, Ashdod. It's like to send it on yourself, basically. I don't think we need to address every single statement from I don't know who's the one, and I don't think that this sentence were actually said. It was a journalist asking, "Do you think we need to do it?" And that is how this conversation went with one of the ministers.
Well, if it wasn't problematic, why did the Prime Minister suspend him and then reinstate him? So clearly there was a problem with what he said, wasn't there?
I've mentioned very clearly that this is a very stupid thing to say, and it does not represent the state of Israel or the government.
But that does not. But then the logic of the Iranians having the nuclear weapon does not apply there, though.
As mentioned, wiping Israel off the map is a systematic statement and decision-making led by the Iranian regime from the very beginning.
Right.
After October 7, if you recall the pictures, the horrific pictures of hundreds of people who've been shot dead at the Nova Festival, family burned alive in their shelters, women that have been raped, bodies that were decapitated, vandalized, and the atmosphere here was extremely difficult. And in this context, yes, some people said things that are problematic.
Right.
But
finally, just a question about the role that we expect the United States to play here. We've heard some ardent supporters of Donald Trump say that he should not militarily get involved in this war, whether it's Tucker Carlson or Steve Bannon, people who form the ideological backbone of his movement. Are you concerned that this isolationist support base within Trump's party will force him to not take a more serious role in this conflict? Or are you confident that at the end of the day, he will join the operation when it's time for the United States to pitch in?
I trust Donald Trump. I think he is a very serious leader. He knows exactly what's in the best interest for the U.S. We have full support of Trump removing the embargo of weapons that we had from the previous administration led by Biden. We were sanctioned. We didn't have the bombs we needed, the accurate bombs. We didn't have engineer crucial equipment for fighting in Gaza to secure our forces. Also, we can see the combat against anti-Semitism that Donald Trump is leading in a very decisive way. And we have high respect for Donald Trump. I don't think I need to give advice to Trump about the interest of the U.S. I think that everyone who is aware of the history of Iran and the U.S., starting with the kidnapping of the embassy team of the U.S., later on during the Lebanon war, terror attacks against Marine Corps in Beirut. Later on, many other incidents and terror attacks worldwide. And the message coming from the mullah, El Maut li America, death to America, America is the great Satan. Iran is an enemy, not just of Israel. Iran is an enemy of the United States. Iran is an enemy of Western civilization. So I think that Iran, it poses a threat to America, it poses a threat to Europe, and I think it's in their best interests that we win the war in a decisive victory. And whether they should interfere directly, yes or no, it's up to the American decision maker.
Right. I think we'll leave it there. These are certainly some worrying times, especially for civilians in Israel and Iran. There are legitimate concerns here, but we hope that they can be solved and achieved without loss of civilian lives. We'll be tracking these things closely. Thank you so much, Mr. Amichai Chikli, for speaking to us on First Post.
Thank you.
First Post now available in 9 languages on YouTube. English,
Stands at $36 trillion.
French,
Le FMI, comme
German,
Geschäftsführenden Direktor,
Hindi,
$30 trillion ka karjo.
Indonesian,
Pemerintah tanpa pemeriksaan.
Italian,
Sekali radikali.
Japanese,
4 兆ドル以上も
Portuguese,
por causa do próprio balanço patrimonial.
Spanish.
Beautiful bill.
Go to Settings, click on Audio Track and select a language of your choice. Be the first to know what's happening around you in your first language. First Post.